Discover the incredible journey of a janitor's daughter who speaks 5 languages and reveals amazing truths about dreams. In a modest apartment perched on the 8th floor of a tired brick building, the city thrummed like a living thing below. Maria peered out of her window, where the skyline shimmered under the sunset. Her heart swelled with bittersweet emotion, every garish light reflecting her aspirations. At only 16, she had mastered 5 languages, weaving tales that drew smiles from faces worn down by life. She remembered her father, a janitor whose hands were rough like concrete from years of hard work, and the sacrifices he'd made, the late nights, the missed meals. His world was built on devotion, but hope flickered within her, a torch against the weight of her circumstances. Maria loved helping her neighbors, translating for those lost in the maze of city life. She was a beacon for families facing economic strain, sharing her talents to uplift those around her. Yet as thoughts of a prestigious scholarship nagged at her heart, the gap between her modest reality and the gleaming possibility of an upscale school loomed ever larger. When Maria finally sat down to work on her scholarship application, every word felt like an uphill climb. Rich kids with polished essays filled the halls of the very school she dreamed of, their lives laid out like a buffet of opportunity. But this was her chance, a light at the end of a tunnel that felt impossibly long. Yet the thought sank deep in her chest: was it even possible for a girl like her to be seen among those privileged students? At home, her father, news of bills pressing down on him like a weight on his chest, urged her to forget her dreams. Family comes first. Focus on what's important, Maria. We need you here. The disappointment in his voice was palpable, like a knife twisting in her heart. Torn between her love for him and her burning ambitions, tears threatened to spill over. The weight of loyalty wrapped around her, squeezing her voice to a whisper. Just when despair felt complete, fate wove itself into her tapestry of struggle. A local veteran, Mr. Dawson, had opened a community center for kids like her, overlooked but bursting with potential. When he saw Maria, he recognized the fire in her spirit and became her mentor, nurturing her with belief she never knew she lacked. Together, they devised ways to engage their community, transforming her love of language into a tool of empowerment. Maria found herself standing before her peers, the cacophony of voices quieted. This school doesn't just reject our dreams, it ignores our struggles. The echoes of her words danced against the walls, fanning flames of a growing conversation about social inequality. The room was alive with murmurs, shaking heads, and soon, determination replaced hesitation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they united, her community's fight simmered with newfound hope. Yet, the path ahead shimmered with uncertainty. Maria glanced into the crowd, locking eyes with her father. His expression was a mix of pride and fear, and in that moment, she realized this was not solely her battle, it belonged to them. Would her voice shatter the chains of doubt, or would it be the catalyst for even greater sacrifices? The air was thick with expectation as she opened her mouth to speak, the world poised to listen, and uncertainty loomed like an unseen shadow. With a deep breath, Maria pushed aside her doubts and began to speak. Each word tumbled out, pulled from the depths of her heart like a wave crashing against the shore. We need to stand together. We need to show them who we are and what we can become. Her voice resonated with passion, drawing eyes from across the room, a room filled with faces just as hopeful, just as weary. As she spoke, something magical happened. The community center transformed from a simple gathering space into a cauldron of energy. Kids leaned forward, resting their elbows on their knees, and parents listened intently, some clutching their children's hands as if offering silent support. They felt Maria's fervor seep into their bones. Every child here deserves access to dreams, no matter their background. She barely noticed the tears forming in her own eyes. Maria was fueled by the realization that she wasn't just fighting for herself, she was the voice for everyone who felt overlooked. We are more than our circumstances. Applause erupted, bouncing off the walls and hammering against her chest. The reaction surprised her, but there was no time to linger on that feeling. Fueled by adrenaline, she continued, heart racing. It's time to show our worth. It's time for those in power to hear us. Mr. Dawson stood off to the side, pride washing over his face. He had seen quiet sparks in many, but Maria, she was igniting a fire. He raised his fist, a powerful gesture of unity. The crowd followed suit, a wave of raised hands and shouts echoing in spirit through the cramped center. They were a chorus of hope, each voice blending into a beautiful cacophony woven from individual dreams. As the moment pressed on, Maria's gaze sought her father's reassurance. It was a delicate, underlying conversation between them. I can do this, she silently conveyed. For the first time in her life, his look held not just fear but something else, a glimmer of newfound belief. Once the noise settled, an unexpected silence fell. Mr. Dawson stepped forward. What Maria has said today is just the beginning. His voice, calming yet invigorating, held the crowd's attention. We need an action plan, a reason for the school to pay attention to us. In that moment, ideas snowballed, each voice building on the last. They called for meetings, planning rallies, drafting letters. Maria felt an exhilarating rush, as if she was standing on the precipice of a massive wave ready to crash down. But with that excitement came a gnawing worry: could they truly push for change? Would others really join their fight? The next few days whirled by in a haze of planning and community engagement. Discussions surrounded the neighborhood, and soon Maria found herself speaking at school board meetings. Each word she uttered took flight, lifting spirits and blending her voice with those who desperately sought change. But with each milestone came a whispered doubt. The school world felt daunting and distant. When she returned home late one evening, the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily onto her shoulders. As she laid in bed, she couldn't shake the worry that her efforts might not be enough to alter the course of her fate. As days turned to weeks, the community center buzzed with cooperative energy. Yet in moments alone, Maria found herself grappling with something far more visceral: the fear of slipping back into silence, of being seen as just another girl from the wrong side of the tracks, lost among the privileged. Then one night, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, her father shuffled into her room. There was something in his eyes, a tempest of rage and concern. "They're trying to silence us, Maria," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "They might try to cut off our voices." Pausing in the dim light, she felt the air thicken with unspoken words. It was a pivotal moment, one that could solidify their resolve or break them apart. Would she fight against the fear that loomed? Or would she find the courage to turn that fear into a force for change? As shadows stretched across the room, Maria took a deep breath. Then let's make sure they hear us. How far was she willing to go to see her dreams realized? The answer lingered just out of reach, a question hanging in the air like a whisper. As dawn broke, the world outside felt different. There was a vibrant energy coursing through the streets, a pulse of determination echoing Maria's own heart. She woke feeling a sense of urgency. Today was a big day. They were meeting at the school board again. Parents, teachers, and members of the community would gather to support their cause, and she had promised to speak. Maria stood in front of the mirror, looking at her reflection. "You got this," she whispered to herself. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. It was time to rally the troops. She dressed quickly, slipping into a crisp white shirt that her father had ironed for her. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world. He was proud, and she felt that pride in the air around them. As she made her way to the community center, Maria felt the warmth of the sun on her shoulders, a blessing, maybe. The streets buzzed with the chatter of neighbors, all of them going about their business, but all united in purpose. Each one of them was a thread in the same fabric. Her heart swelled as she saw familiar faces that had begun to feel like family over the past few weeks. Dawson was already there, preparing handouts about the proposed changes. "Morning, Maria." Are you ready? He asked, his grin infectious. As ready as I'll ever be, she said, trying to maintain a brave facade. The crowd assembled, filling the room with a sense of unity that was invigorating. She could see her father in the back, sitting with other parents, his face a mixture of encouragement and tension. As she approached the front, she took a moment to soak it all in. This was her moment. They were here to hear her voice. She moved toward the podium, feeling each step anchor her in this mission. Clearing her throat, she began, "Thank you all for being here today. We stand together because we believe in a brighter future for our children." Maria's voice grew stronger, and she recounted the stories she had heard, the dreams she had witnessed sparked to life through her community. Each tale fueled her fire, pushing her to speak louder and prouder. She could see parents nodding, heads lifting in agreement as she laid out their plan. "We're not asking for handouts. We're asking for respect. We want our children's voices heard." With each word, the energy in the room intensified, electrifying her spirit, but even as she inspired hope, a nagging doubt twitched in her gut. What if this was just noise? What if it all fell on deaf ears? In the back of her mind, her father's worried expression surfaced. She had promised him strength, but what if she did not live up to that? That moment of uncertainty was interrupted by a commotion at the door. A group of school board members strode in black suits and stern faces. The room went silent. Maria felt their presence like a winter chill. One of the board members, Ms. Harper, was known for her no-nonsense approach. She stepped forward, her eyes cold and assessing. "What exactly do you think you can achieve here?" she asked, her voice slick with skepticism. Maria's heart dropped. It felt like a challenge, and a ripple of anxiety coursed through the crowd. She took a deep breath, aware that this was the defining moment. "We're here to speak our truths. We're here to fight for equality in education. We've come to show you we won't be ignored." A murmur of approval spread through the audience, but Maria's chest tightened with the weight of expectations. Would this be enough? As Ms. Harper opened her mouth to respond, Maria braced herself. Whatever came next had the potential to set their plans into motion or strike them down before they even began. So much was at stake and the air felt charged. All eyes were on Maria, and in that silence, the question hung, would they rise up together or shatter under pressure? As anticipation spiraled, she held her breath, teetering on the edge of hope and fear, waiting for the moment to unfold. The silence stretched as Miss Harper's lips moved, but Maria couldn't grasp her words. It was as if everything around her faded away, leaving only the pounding of her heart and the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The room felt electric, charged with tension. "I hear you, Maria," Miss Harper finally said, her tone softening just a fraction. "But don't you understand the realities we face? Resources are limited, and we can't accommodate every request." Maria's heart sank at the dismissal, but a fire ignited within her. "Limited resources should not mean limited opportunities," she countered, her voice shaking with passion. "Our children deserve better. They deserve a chance to learn in an environment that respects their needs. We cannot let fear dictate their future." The murmurs of approval grew louder, filling the space with a wave of encouragement. Maria glanced at her father, and she saw the pride radiating from him. It fed her confidence, adding fuel to her resolve. "Maybe you think you know our stories," she continued, pacing a little, trying to connect with each parent and teacher in the room. "But what if you listened? What if you let us share our experiences? We are not just statistics. We are dreams waiting to happen." "Dreams don't pay the bills," Ms. Harper retorted, crossing her arms, her posture less threatening but still firm. "You have to be practical. This is not an easy fix." Maria sensed the crowd shift, their energy simmering, waiting for her next move. She took a deep breath, seeking strength from the unity surrounding her. "We're not asking for an easy fix. We're asking for commitment. The hardest battles have the most worthy prizes." She could feel the power in her words, the congregation around her embracing the fight. Dawson stepped forward, his voice booming with authority. "We are here to show you that our community will not back down. We are ready to stand together, to work together. We will raise the funds if we have to. We will canvass for support. This isn't just Maria's fight, it's ours." Maria smiled, a wave of hope washing over her. It wasn't just her anymore, she ignited a spark in her people. Little by little, they were becoming a force to be reckoned with, yet just as the excitement crescendoed, Ms. Harper raised her hand for silence, pulling the room back into a tight, anxious stillness. "Fine. We will listen. I will arrange a panel and allow you to present your case properly. But understand, change won't come easily." "Thank you," Maria exclaimed, unable to contain her relief and joy. But as she absorbed Ms. Harper's words, a new fear crept in. They had only just begun. What if they encountered barriers far worse than expected? What if the board was resistant to listening? What if today's gesture of goodwill faded under the weight of bureaucracy? As the meeting concluded, Maria's community buzzed with excitement, but deep down, she felt the heaviness of what lay ahead. She had sparked something important, but now she needed to carry that flame and transform it into action. Stepping outside, she could feel the warmth of the sun against her skin again, though it felt different now. She turned to her father, whose proud smile reassured her. "I'm so proud of you, Maria. You fought your heart out. That was just the beginning, Dad. Now we have to prepare for what's next," she replied, determination flaring in her eyes. With every step, she felt the weight of responsibility but also the thrill of possibility. As the crowd began to disperse, Maria realized that this could be her chance not just for her community, but for herself too. Could she hold up under the pressure? How would she transform this initial win into a lasting change? And as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant hues, Maria's thoughts drifted to the big task ahead and the looming questions haunted her. Would they truly be able to navigate the complexities of the system? What would it mean to demand change in the face of possible rejection? Without answers, she stepped forward into the future, steeling herself for the challenges that lay ahead. With the sun sinking lower, casting long shadows across the sidewalk, Maria felt an electric charge still pulsating in her veins. It was exhilarating and terrifying at once. The voices of her community echoed in her mind, a chorus of hope. Yet doubts gnawed at her. She had lit a fire, but could she keep it burning? "Let us meet tomorrow," she urged Mr. Dawson as they walked side by side. "We need to plan. We can't let this momentum fade." Mr. Dawson nodded, admiration shining in his eyes. "You're right, Maria. This is our chance. We need to come up with solutions, not just talk." As they parted ways, Maria felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The world outside seemed vast and inviting, yet a shadow of dread loomed over her heart. The panel session with the board was just days away. Would they truly listen? Would they care enough? At home, the comforting scent of her mother's cooking filled the air. The dinner table was where stories were shared, and laughter blossomed. Maria sat down, her usual appetite dampened by the weight of her thoughts. "Everything okay, Mija?" her mother asked, setting a plate down in front of her. "Yeah, just thinking about the school meeting," Maria replied, forcing herself to smile. But her mother's brow furrowed with concern. "Your father told me how brave you were. But don't forget, you need to take care of yourself too. This fight will be tough." Maria nodded, feeling a swell of gratitude. "I will. I just feel like it's my responsibility to make sure the kids have what they need." As they ate, Maria's younger brother, Alex, animatedly shared his own day. His excitement pulled Maria momentarily out of her worries. He had won a spelling bee at school, a small victory that brought a smile to everyone's face. Later that night, as Maria lay in bed, she couldn't shake off the feeling that something big was approaching. Her dreams danced between victory and defeat, woven with images of her community standing together, chanting for change. But right beside those dreams hovered heavy doubts about her own capability to lead them. Her phone buzzed, a message from Mr. Dawson. "Remember to breathe. You've got this." A small smile tugged at her lips. She was not alone. In the days that followed, Maria poured herself into preparing for the panel. She reached out to other parents, teachers, and experts who could help articulate their needs. They shared stories of laughter in the classrooms, of friendships cultivated, and of dreams that often felt out of reach. Each narrative added weight to her purpose, binding her more deeply to the quest. On the day of the panel, she felt a whirlwind of nerves and resolve. Dressed in her best clothes, she stood in front of the glass doors, her reflection staring back, part student, part warrior. Every heartbeat was a reminder of her mission. As the panel discussion began, the room filled with the chatter of school officials. Fear threatened to choke her, but then she thought of the children, her friends, her community. That thought fueled her, and she took a deep breath. She stepped forward, ready to present her case. The moment felt monumental. The board members looked down at their notes, some barely making eye contact as she spoke. But just as she was about to share the last piece of her heart, a loud commotion echoed from behind the doors. Gasps filled the room. "What now?" she whispered, her heart racing again. Would this be another obstacle? Or something she never saw coming? She gripped the podium tighter, bracing herself for whatever was about to unfold. The doors burst open, sending everyone into a muted panic. Maria's heart thundered as a group of parents, friends, and supporters rushed in, their faces a mix of determination and urgency. Among them was her best friend, Elena, waving her arms like a conductor calling an orchestra to order. "I'm sorry we're late." Elena panted, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "We couldn't miss this." There was another figure behind her, older and more reserved, but just as pulsating with energy, Mr. Thompson, a beloved teacher known for his unwavering support of the students. Maria's heart swelled at the sight of them. They were here, standing together in solidarity. The board members shifted in their seats, looking irritated at the disruption. Maria had a choice: let the chaos rattle her or let it fuel her fire. She straightened her back, her voice a steady whisper. "No going back now," she murmured to herself. Elena caught her eye and nodded, a silent promise between best friends. The crowd quieted as a wave of camaraderie settled over the room, the supporters taking positions behind Maria. She could feel their strength combine with her own. "Thank you all for coming," Maria began, finding her voice again. "This is a crucial moment for our school, and together we can make a difference." Her hands rested on the podium, the warmth of the wooden surface grounding her as she spoke. As she laid out the changes they envisioned: more resources for students, enhanced programs, and a bid for equitable funding, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The nervousness that suffocated her before transformed into a passionate drive. The parents behind her began clapping softly, then louder, each clap reverberating like a heartbeat. Amar Thompson stood next to Maria. "These kids deserve better," he spoke, his voice carrying weight. "We must invest in their futures." His words ignited a spark in the crowd. She could see faces nodding, eyes lighting up with understanding. Here and now, her fears began to dissolve like sugar in water, replaced by the realization that they were all interconnected. With each word, it felt like they were knitting a fabric of hope, stronger than before. But right as Maria was gaining momentum, a board member, a stern woman with a steely gaze, interrupted. "And what makes you think we will listen? This is an inconvenience to our schedule." Maria's heart sank. The challenge hung heavy, but she couldn't back down now. "Because," she replied, her voice unwavering, "we are not just voices, we are the future. We are your students, parents, and community. If you want progress, you must engage with us." Her determination sparked murmurs among the crowd, a stir of voices echoing back, emboldening her. As the tension in the room reached a fever pitch, Maria felt a swell of hope, mingling with fear. Would they really listen? The faces of her friends and family steadied her. It felt monumental, like standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap. Then Mr. Dawson's voice broke through the electric atmosphere. Maria's right. This isn't a thrown-together protest, it's a movement founded on dedication. If you're open to hearing us out, we can find real solutions. The room fell silent. All eyes turned toward the board, waiting for a verdict. The tension pulsed like the rhythm of a drum, and Maria held her breath. What would be their response? Would she at last see the change they all longed for? Or would they remain entrenched in their old ways? A decision loomed ahead, one that could shift everything. Maria's pulse quickened again. She wished she could read their minds. The moment felt loaded with possibilities. It was a test, a defining moment, one that could either shatter or uplift her spirit. As seconds ticked by like hours, Maria dared to hope and fear the outcome. What if it wasn't just the panel that was about to change? What if the journey led somewhere she never expected? As the silence hung heavy in the air, Maria's heart raced like a runaway train. The eyes of the board members bore down on her, a mix of scrutiny and something she couldn't quite place, curiosity, maybe. She could feel her friends and family behind her, their shared energy wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Then the board chair cleared her throat. "We appreciate your enthusiasm," she said, her tone a touch softer now. "But this meeting is about more than your promises." She gestured to the other board members, who seemed less than convinced. "We have budgets, logistics, and an administration to consider." Maria's stomach twisted. "But you can't ignore us," she shot back, her voice stronger now. "These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are lives. We are not just asking for change, we're demanding it." The emphasis on the word lives sent a ripple through the crowd. Hope reignited, murmuring turned to a swell of agreement. "Parents have sacrificed so much," Mr. Thompson chimed in again. "Our community has always sought a better future for these students. We stand together." And in that moment, the crowd moved like a wave. Parents began to share their stories about late-night studying, running fundraisers, and the anxiety they felt when their children faced challenges in underfunded programs. Each voice added to the fervor, stitching together a rich tapestry of shared experience and longing. Maria felt her breath catch as she listened. Each tale resonated deep inside her. It wasn't just about funding, it was about care, love, and commitment to shape a future where their children could thrive, not just survive. She glanced at Elena, whose eyes gleamed with determination, and then at Mr. Dawson, who yet again nodded encouragingly. The board members shifted uneasily in their seats, glancing at one another as they absorbed the mounting pressure. Maria felt a distinct pivot in the room. A tiny flicker of hope sparked. "Imagine if we could open doors to programs that empower our kids, that give them resources and education they truly deserve," she said, her voice rising above the noise. "What if we created opportunities for them to lead, to engage with diverse ideas, to learn and grow in ways we can't even imagine?" She let her gaze linger on the stern board member, willing her to see the truth in her words. "This isn't just a benefit for today, it's planting seeds for our community's tomorrow." That stem of hope curled its way through her words like vines reaching for the sun. The crowd responded with applause, louder and more assured this time, its rhythm echoing in perfect sync with Maria's heart. For the first time, she saw the board members exchange uncertain glances, their ironclad confidence flickering, and then, just as suddenly as the energy surged, a familiar voice cut through the elation. "What do you expect from us?" It was the stern woman again, her brow furrowed with disbelief. "Empty promises won't fund your dreams." Maria inhaled deeply, her mind racing. This was the challenge, the crossroads where everything could turn. "We expect you to see us," she replied, her words slow and deliberate. "To engage with us. We bring ideas. We have solutions. We're not opponents to your authority, we're partners. Let us work with you." The tension in the room shifted again, a palpable mixture of apprehension and curiosity. Maria felt her palms begin to sweat. What if this was the moment they truly took notice? What if the board members dared to step off their familiar path? Suddenly, a hand shot up from the back, an unexpected voice, a parent she recognized but didn't fully know. "I'm on board. I want to help." The enthusiasm spread like wildfire. Others joined in, their voices rising in a chorus of support. As Maria stepped away from the podium, caught in the whirlwind of emotions and hopeful shouts, she couldn't help but smile. Change was brewing. But she also realized the battle was only just beginning. What if this was just the start of something bigger than they ever anticipated? The journey ahead loomed, uncertain yet thrilling. The real test of their resolve was on the horizon. Would they unite against the odds, or would hidden fears tear them apart? Maria stood beneath the fluorescent lights, a tidal wave of adrenaline surging through her. Faces swam in and out of focus as applause echoed in her ears. The board members still sat, their expressions wavering between concern and a hesitant curiosity. She was buoyed by the energy of the crowd, feeling their collective hope fueling her resolve. Each parent, each child, brought a new layer of urgency to the mission. "Get ready to fight for these kids," Mr. Thompson whispered as he approached her. His voice was steady, yet she sensed an undercurrent of fear beneath it. "We've got a long way to go." Maria nodded, determination hardening within her. After the meeting, they would regroup, brainstorm ideas, and draft a plan. The moment they made their voices heard together was just the beginning, she told herself. But a nagging doubt flickered. How could they really transform the boardroom's skepticism into genuine support? In the days that followed, excitement morphed into action. Maria organized volunteer meetings. Parents offered their time, skills, and connections. They gathered in small groups, brainstorming ideas and strategies, drawing upon their individual talents. A nurse shared her insights on health education, a retired teacher contributed a curriculum outline, and a small business owner discussed fundraising strategies. Each voice added a valuable thread to their tapestry of purpose, yet as energy surged, Maria knew the danger of discord also loomed. Not all parents agreed on the best path forward. During a particularly heated meeting, voices rose and tempers flared. "We need more after-school programs," one parent exclaimed. "What about sports and the arts?" another countered. The divide fractured their momentum. "Listen," Maria interjected, her voice cracking with emotion. "What if we think of our kids collectively instead of individually? They're not just a math student or an artist, they are all of it. We need to create something that embraces every facet of their education. That's what we should be fighting for." Silence fell as her words hung in the air. Slowly, heads nodded, and the tension eased. They might have different ideas, but they all shared the same goal, a brighter future for their children. As discussions became more productive, Maria felt the weight of hope begin to overpower the lingering doubts. She learned to navigate the maze of opinions, finding a middle ground that honored everyone's voice. They compiled a comprehensive proposal to take back to the board, highlighting not only the educational needs but also the community's commitment to growth and collaboration. Finally, the day arrived to present their vision. Maria stood in front of the board again, flanked by parents who had rallied beside her. As she looked out into the sea of familiar faces, a swell of pride filled her. They were no longer just parents. They were advocates, warriors ready to take on the administration. "Today, we come as one voice," she began, her hands steady this time. "With one unified dream to create a space where every child, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to thrive. It's not just our dream, it's a community effort." As she spoke, Maria's eyes caught the board member who had previously dismissed them. This time, the hardness in her gaze softened, hinting at a willingness to listen, perhaps even to believe. Could it be possible? As she wrapped up her presentation, applause erupted once again. The room buzzed with a new kind of energy, charged with potential. Maria's heart soared, but a voice of caution whispered in the back of her mind. Had they truly made their case? And would the board honor their pleas this time, or would doubt once again overshadow their hard work? The answers lay ahead, just beyond the horizon. As they left the meeting, a mix of hope and anxiety wafted through the air, making Maria wonder, were they ready for what was about to come next? The days turned into a blur of preparations. Maria and her team worked tirelessly, gathering community support and fine-tuning their proposal. She felt a mix of excitement and anxiety building up as they approached the next board meeting. Would they be able to sway the decision-makers? The stakes felt higher this time. One evening, as the setting sun painted the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, Maria sat at her dining table, piles of papers scattered around her. Her daughter, Sophia, played quietly nearby, drawing with vibrant crayons. Maria watched her for a moment, admiring the way her little hands moved across the page, creating entire worlds filled with magical creatures and wild landscapes. "Mom!" Sophia interrupted, breaking the serene atmosphere. "Yes, sweetheart," Maria replied, turning her full attention to her daughter. "Are you going to make the school better so I can learn more? Like the kids in the stories?" Maria's heart squeezed. Her daughter's innocence reminded her why she was fighting so hard. "Yes, Sophia. We're trying to make it better for everyone so you can have every chance to explore and learn. Just as you dream in your drawings." Sophia smiled, her eyes sparkling with possibility. Maria found strength in that smile, and she vowed she wouldn't stop until they made the dream a reality. The following evening, the room was packed again, but this time the atmosphere crackled with tension. Parents shuffled in, faces lined with worry and determination. Maria felt the weight of their hopes rest on her shoulders. She'd never asked for this burden, yet she knew she was chosen to carry it. As the meeting started, she stood alongside Mr. Thompson and a few steadfast parents. Every eye in the room was on them. Maria led the discussion, presenting their refined proposal with confidence. They proposed not just more after-school programs but holistic approaches that included art, sports, and mental health awareness. Each time they spoke of the children, she felt energy ripple through the crowd. They shared stories of success and struggles, their voices rising and falling in unison like a choir. But just as hope began to blossom, one board member raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Is this a realistic vision?" he challenged, looking directly at Maria. "What makes you think you can pull this off?" Her heart raced, but she took a breath. "Because we have each other," she replied, her voice steady yet passionate. "We are committed. The community is committed. Together, we can create change not just for our kids, but for future generations." Murmurs of agreement rippled throughout the room. Yet, Maria remained cautious. The board's decision was still pending, and the clock ticked ominously in the background. That night, Maria couldn't sleep. Thoughts churned in her mind, mixing hope with dread. Were they truly ready for the challenges that lay ahead? What if the board rejected their proposals? What would that mean for the children, for her community? Morning came too quickly. As Maria readied herself for the final decision, she felt that familiar rush of adrenaline. But alongside it was a deeper feeling, the belief that they had sparked something bigger within the community. The power of unity had ignited a flame, and she hoped passionately that no board could extinguish it. Arriving at the venue, she found parents and children alike milling about. There was an air of expectancy, a sense that everyone had a role in what was about to unfold. They were fighters now, not just dreamers. Minutes stretched like hours as they awaited the board's announcement. When the chairperson finally entered the room, a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes were glued to her as she prepared to speak. Maria's heart raced. This was it. This was the moment that could change everything, but would they be ready for the answer that lay ahead? The board chair opened her mouth, and it felt like time slowed. Maria clutched her notes, knuckles white, praying they had done enough. After careful consideration, she began, voice steady yet filled with the weight of decision. "We are prepared to collaborate with your community to improve educational resources." A split second of stunned silence overtook the room, and then the air burst with cheers and applause, echoing like thunder against the walls. Maria's heart soared. "We did it," she thought, tears welling in her eyes as she caught a glimpse of her father, pride glowing on his face. "This is just the start," the chair continued, "but we need actionable commitment. We will work to schedule workshops for parents and students to collaboratively review needs, but we also require community backing in terms of volunteer hours and fundraising." Maria felt the tension slowly lift. "Of course," she exclaimed, the words rushing out. "We are ready to work together." Behind her, parents erupted with enthusiasm, hands raised in agreement. She felt a wave of support wrap around her, buoying her spirit against the looming task ahead. As the board discussed next steps, a realization settled over Maria. They weren't merely individuals fighting for their voices to be heard, they were a community at last, woven together by dreams, determination, and hope. Days morphed into weeks, and momentum surged like a river in flood. With guidance from the school board, Maria's community organized workshops, fundraisers, and gatherings, every child advocating for their education. Parents who once felt powerless now found strength in collective action, joining hands in aisles of the community center, crafting plans and filling out budgets, weaving each child's story into a vibrant tapestry of hope. Maria felt alive, electrified. Whether translating a parent's concern into an action plan or leading discussions on proposals, every triumph amplified her thirst for change. The joy of community engagement transformed the bitter past into a lovely present. Each smile shared redefined her idea of success. Finally, the day arrived for their first major fundraising event, a bake sale and community talent show. The center buzzed with life and laughter as families gathered, showcasing talents, sharing their stories, and selling homemade goods. Maria's heart swelled as she watched the little kids perform, their innocence and enthusiasm a powerful reminder of why they fought. As she passed through the crowd, she caught sight of her father, who manned a booth with handmade crafts. His face glowed with pride, his eyes crinkling as he smiled at everyone who passed by. He caught her gaze and nodded, a silent understanding passing between them. Their sacrifices had birthed a vibrant community, and their dreams no longer felt burdensome but liberating. The event culminated in unexpected success, generating funds that eclipsed their wildest hopes. With each dollar raised, Maria felt the weight of her fears dissipate. Their people's stories, each shared laugh, and every note sung in the talent show, these were the threads in their collective fabric, stitching them closer than they ever thought possible. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of hope, Maria stood at the center of the gathering, all eyes on her once again. This time, she was ready. "Thank you, everyone, for believing in this journey. Together, we've created something beautiful. This is just the beginning," she announced, her voice steady and strong. "And we will ensure that our kids continue to dream boldly." Applause and laughter circled her through the warm night's air. Maria could see her community united, fueled by a single purpose: to amplify the voices of every child, to demand nothing less than respect and opportunity. With her heart full and vibrant, she took one last look at the faces surrounding her. Their expressions glimmered with triumphant joy and hope, hearts swelling with a collective understanding. Together, they were unstoppable. As the last of the daylight faded, she closed her eyes, feeling the calm rush of certainty wash over her. No longer a solitary girl dreaming amidst uncertainty, she was a leader, a daughter whose journey had transformed her community. And she knew one thing was clear: dreams were not just wishes but routes to action. This was their moment to shine, and she was ready to continue leading the way. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these amazing tales alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this transformative journey. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of inspiration. Don't wait not even one more second to support the channel. Show that you're a true fan.